We didn't have a lot of response in October 2022 when we ran Don Haley's burn barrel, and then now those documents have been released. There are human remains. They have pictures of the bones out, which I honestly didn't know was going to come out. It's not okay to have human remains in your burn barrel. That's not okay. Box Elder County did go interview Don Haley, said he knew nothing about it, and that's it. So whether or not it's Dylan's or what if it's somebody else's, that's what really stood out to me because K9TF, the team leader, and I, we had screamed about that since October, and we were basically told we were crazy. Until Eddington got the warrant, and it's like, no, you're not crazy. There's definitely a push time. The other thing is all the data we have off of Dylan's phone. So my biggest push is let's look at Dylan's case as a case study and let's use it for education. Don't speculate. Don't think you should have done something different or we could have done something different or Box Elder could have. Let's use it as an educational tool of what should have happened. It didn't. And it never would have changed what happened to Dylan, besides him being arrested on his warrant beforehand. But the fact of the matter is we have an opportunity as a family and through Missing in America Network and Dylan's legacy to make a change. And so we're going to use it for the better good. A public apology to our family, even acknowledging us, would be amazing, but they've never even done that. Now, the prosecuting attorney's office has been awesome, but as far as the sheriff's office, they have never come out and said, hey, we're sorry we didn't listen to you guys. We're sorry that when Dylan's boots were found on May 30th that we ignored you guys even though there was blood on them. They have never publicly come out and pretty much said we screwed this up from the beginning, which they did. So that's where I go back to accountability, education, and a change. And that is what needs to happen. I've got people studying this case across the world that want to use it as a case study. So I don't let it frustrate me that everything's so jumbled. Like, no, let's use this and let's educate more people on what can go wrong and what will go wrong if you don't stand up and pay attention. That's what I really want for people to get out of this. Like, let's keep it from being your son next. Let's arrest violent felons like James Brenner, Tyler Burrow, working on the Bailey Blunt case. Now Dylan's legacy has a reward on his head to try to find him. Stop putting these people for violent crimes in jail, letting them out on their own recognizance and hoping they'll return to court before they murder somebody else. Let's stop doing this, people. That's enough. And so that's what we're going to use Dylan's case for. It's who Dylan was. Dylan was going to make a name for himself. He already had. So I felt like we got to continue this. Dylan will make a legacy. This is not the way we want it, but it's happening. But the other thing is, don't get me wrong. I had those moments of wanting to crawl in a corner. I did. And I had people like Candice Howard and Ashley Easterling and Jazz from Missing in America Network help pull me out and remind me that I wasn't alone. So yes, you can go one or two directions. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to stay quiet and not talk. But I do say there's something wrong in sinking into depression and not reaching out to people like the network we have so that at least you're okay. You got to vent. You have to be able to get out your emotions. You have to be able to get out your frustrations in an unjudgmental atmosphere. And so we do that. And so it's just, the whole thing with Dylan, he was so amazing and he was going to do so many things. Well, he still is. And I don't know if you've seen, we donated part of his remains. So we donated part of Dylan's remains to a canine team. So the same weekend we laid Dylan to rest, he was up on a mountain training to help find others. So it's just one of those things that we're going to continue what he wanted.
So part of the record release today included body camera videos from some of the initial interactions back in 2022, interviews with people that know or knew James Brenner, who pleaded guilty to murder in this case involving Dylan Rounds and the death of Dylan Rounds. Also, lots of pictures from the West Desert there of crime scenes and evidence and such. You also heard Candice here. This was just part of our conversation today that went on about 20 minutes. Her recent involvement now in trying to help other families that are going through a similar circumstance, wanting answers, not knowing where their loved one is. Recently, Candice linked up with the Missing in America Network to try to help those who need that support.
Most missing people in the United States are found, and you find a lot of them through awareness. Awareness is step number one. If you do not bring awareness that there is a missing person, nobody knows if they've seen something. So that is the very first step. And, Jazz and I, she helped me so much through Dylan's case, Justin and I both, and has become such a close friend. And we work so closely together. We brought home missing young men, especially alive. If you don't know, you might have seen something because there's no awareness. You don't know. It basically boils down to you don't know what you don't know. So awareness is huge. That's what we do through the Missing in America Network. On the Dylan's Legacy, we're a little more boots on the ground. We have some more resources. So it has turned into a perfect partnership for people who are missing their loved ones.
So how will you continue with the network from here? What are the next sort of things you plan to do with them? Say something pops up or some people reach out for help. How do you get involved?
Well, so when I just reached out to you, if you were going to send me a link, I was actually on the phone with a missing person's mother, Chris Sins. He's missing out of Baus, Arizona. Our first step, like I said, is awareness. Then we help organize searches. I have really taken the stance as a mom who's been through this. I talk to these mothers and I get on a one-on-one base with them, because the worst thing you can ever go through is a lot in your life is losing a child. Dads, grandparents, brothers, sisters, they all care. They love them, but it's not like a mom. We grow these children. We have this ongoing responsibility. And so people need a safe place to go. They need somewhere to be able to go where they can vent, they can send out their frustrations, they can tell the crazy stories just like I did. And then they can be talked down off the ledge by somebody who knows and has been through it. And that is of the utmost importance, to know you're not alone. There are people out there who have went through it. And I encourage moms to call me. I probably spend 5 hours a day on the phone with moms now, because I get it. I was that mom, and I did have other moms reach out to me. And without that network, I don't think I would have made it.
How important is this network, knowing how difficult it can be to work with law enforcement while you're trying to get information and trying to follow the steps closely, but maybe you're not getting that information from those wearing the badge?
Yeah, that's a super hard thing. So some of the families I work with, and I've built a really good rapport with a lot of detectives and a lot of law enforcement agencies that I work with. So regardless of your situation or what you're going through, your child is never going to get enough attention. I mean, that's just a fact. Your child is never going to get the attention that you feel they deserve. So when we look at Dylan's case and with Box Elder, and I mean, with the documents that are being released today, the dates are wrong. The missing persons report's got the wrong date. They kind of did disregard Dylan. And as I work with more moms and I work with law enforcement, that's not always the case, but you always feel like it is. So when we scream so hard against Box Elder in the state of Utah, I've learned that's not the best avenue to take. Like, we can work through the bumps and the trials and maybe trying to educate them. I mean, you got to be held accountable for what you don't know. You got to be educated in it. And that's what makes a change. Unfortunately for a mother, it'll never be enough. And sometimes we just got to take a step back and realize they're doing everything they can But for a mom, it's never enough. So I encourage people to reach out to us to say, hey, what would you do in this situation? And like I said, most of these law enforcement agencies, I've gotten a very good response from, and they'll send me the case files. And I'm like, man, there's just nothing else we can do. I wish we were a fix all, but that's just not always the case.